Going into the 16th century, the Roman Catholic Church still had a lot of political power and wealth. However, there were a few that were questioning the decadent lifestyles and financial abuses of the Pope and many clergymen. This map, which is in your text, shows where different religions were prominent. As you can see, all of Spain, Italy, and most of France were still Roman Catholic. Some religious work was being destroyed in protest of the Roman Catholic gluttony. At the same time, there were some artists who were continuing to work for commissions by the Roman Catholic Church, but there were other artists that decided it's safer to do more secular, private commissions such as portraits, daily scenes of life, and landscapes. Remember, even though we see the Holy Roman Empire on this map for this time period, it was also Germany. This piece here is titled Apple Cup by the workshop of Hans Krug from Nuremberg, made between the years 1510 to 1515. The Nuremberg city in Germany was known for its great metal workers. Hans Krug and his sons were most well known in this area. They created much of their work for the wealthy. This is gilt silver, which means it was made of silver and gilded, covered in a thin layer of gold. This is a small piece around 8.5 inches. This apple cup exemplifies or shows us the high level of detail that was being produced during this time. Take a moment to look at the beautiful, intricate, fine details seen in the stem of this vase. Even though many German sculptors worked in stone and metals, they were most well known for their woodwork, especially their fine-grained lime wood. This piece by Tilman Riemenschneider, titled Older Piece of the Holy Blood, was made around 1501 to 1505. It is in the Church of St. James, where it is said they had preserved a drop of Jesus' blood. This is an elaborate 30-foot high lime wood construction. Tilman Riemenschneider was responsible for the figures and the scene setting. Many wooden sculptures were painted or gilded. However, it's important to note that Riemenschneider's older piece of the Holy Blood differs from earlier German traditions for wooden sculpture by his use of natural finishes. This piece is not painted or gilded. The main sections show the Last Supper, where Jesus is revealing who will betray him. Take notice of the intricate detail of this wood carving. Here we see Judas is placed at the center and Jesus to the left, a bit off center. Jesus is offering Judas food, which signifies that Judas will be the traitor, setting in motion the events that will lead to his crucifixion. Take note of the figure pointing down. One figure is pointing down towards the crucifix and the predella where the relic of Christ's blood is kept, and to the older peace table, which is a symbol for the Last Supper and the tomb of Christ. What we are looking at here is the Eisenheim altarpiece for the Abbey of St. Anthony Hospital in Eisenheim near Colmar. The hospital specialized in the care for skin diseases, leprosy, the plague, and also St. Anthony's fire, which was a painful disease caused by eating rye and other grains The wooden carvings in the center panel and predella were made by Nicholas Hagener. In the middle of the center panel, titled St. Anthony Enthroned, is St. Anthony flanked by Father Augustine on the left, and then on the right is Hieronymus. The donors are seen making offerings. The size relationship between the figures are relative to their importance. Below the predella is the scene of the Last Supper. The paintings were created by Matthias Grunwald, who was best known for painting this altarpiece, but he was also known as an architect and a hydraulic engineer. The left panel is St. Anthony's visit to St. Paul of Thebes, also titled Anthony and Paul the Hermit. Around them are medicinal plants used in the hospitals to help the sick. The panel on the right is a temptation of St. Anthony, where we see Anthony being attacked by demons. In the first opening are joyous scenes. On the left is the Annunciation, where Gabriel informs Mary that she will carry the Christ child Jesus. The center is titled Virgin and Child with Angels, where heaven and earth are joined together. And the scene on the right is the Resurrection, where Christ rises from the dead. The predella shows lamentation, showing the entombment of Christ. This is the altarpiece closed. The left panel shows Saint Sebastian the Martyr. The right panel is of Anthony Abbot, otherwise known as Saint Anthony the Hermit. Both are associated with the plague, and both are standing on pedestals. The center panel is a crucifixion, where Jesus is dying on the cross. Below him are people grieving. His mother, the Virgin Mary, dressed in white, is distraught and is being comforted by Apostle John. Below her is Mary Magdalene kneeling with her hands clenched in prayer. To the right is St. John the Baptist, and he is speaking in Latin, saying, "He must become greater, I must become less." The lamb is seen bleeding into a chalice. The lamb represents Jesus. His sacred blood is being saved in the chalice. As you can see in the details of Christ's hands and feet, this scene is not pretty. In fact, it's quite gruesome and realistic. There is no hiding Christ's suffering. The image of the crucifixion from the Eisenheim altarpiece emphasizes human emotion and suffering through Grunwald's graphic realism.